What is up, everyone? We saw that the NFL schedule was released yesterday, so today I will be talking about my regular season predictions for this upcoming NFL season. Start off going by division. First division we will be looking at is the AFC East. Now, I think it will be a fight between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots to get first place in the AFC East, but I still got the Buffalo Bills winning the division at 12-5. The ad of Emmanuel Sanders is very underrated. I think he will help the Bills' offense a lot more than people are intending. I think you give Josh Allen another weapon and you play him alongside Stephon Diggs, that's going to be great, and the Bills' offense is going to be very good. We know their defense was also pretty good. I mean, their offense was still great last year, but I think adding now Emmanuel Sanders, this Bills team is very good, and I think could be a Super Bowl contender. I got the New England Patriots finishing second in the AFC East at 11-6. I think that the Patriots are going to be well improved this year. They added both Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, and Nelson Aguilar to the offense, and then they got Matthew Judon and Jalen Mills to the defense, plus they signed Kyle Van Noy back, and they drafted Mac Jones. So I think this Patriots team is returning back to full form now. Bill Belichick basically said, we had one bad year, so we're not going to mess around. We're going to go sign a bunch of guys, and I think the Patriots will be the best wild card team in the AFC next year. The rest of the AFC East, I got the Miami Dolphins finishing third at 9-8, and the New York Jets finishing last at 7-10. These teams are well improved from last year. We saw the Dolphins adding Will Fuller and drafting players like Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips. And we saw the Jets are definitely improved. They did draft Zach Wilson, but they also added Corey Davis, Gerard Davis, and LaMarcus Joyner. And they also drafted Elijah Vera Tucker and Elijah Moore. So I think this Jets team and the Dolphins are well improved, but I don't think they have enough yet to make the playoffs. So I got them finishing both third and fourth place in the AFC East. Now we will be moving on to the AFC North, and at first place we got the Baltimore Ravens, basically running away with the division at 13-4. I think now that Lamar Jackson has weapons besides Hollywood Brown, now they added Sammy Watkins, and they also drafted Rashad Bateman. Even though on defense they did lose Yannick Ngakoue and Matthew Judon, I think the offensive adds will be way better and will make up a lot more than the losses they had on defense. So I think this Ravens team finishes 13-4 and wins the AFC North next season. Second place in the division, I got the Cleveland Browns finishing 9-8, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, and I thought the Browns were going to be better. I think they definitely have the talent to be better, and they probably will be better, but I thought just their schedule was really rough, and that's just the way the teams they were playing, the way it ended up happening. Adam finishing only one game over 500, but I think they could definitely be better. I think they get Odell Beckham back, and they also added Jadeveon Clowney and John Johnson. So, yeah, this Browns team is way improved from last season. I remember watching the playoff game against the Steelers, and it was just funny seeing how the Steelers couldn't do anything, and the Browns basically just put them in a hole in the first quarter, and the whole game was basically over by then. And I think coming off that game and that season, the momentum they had, this Browns team will definitely be better just by who I saw them playing. I think they will end up finishing 9-8 and only one game over 500, but they could still make the playoffs at 9-8. Third place in the division, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going 7-10, and I think just with Ben Roethlisberger's age, I don't think he's going to be very productive next season. We saw the way they ended last season, how their offense was terrible, and I talked about it earlier in the video, how they went out against the Browns in the first round of the playoffs and got just absolutely crushed. And I remember, like I said, watching it and it being kind of funny how the Steelers couldn't do anything. But the only way I could see the Steelers team being productive at all is if the defense just is so good that it doesn't matter how good their offense is at all. But otherwise, Ben Roethlisberger's 40 years old now, and just the Steelers team is going to struggle a little bit next year, especially with the Browns getting better and the Ravens also getting better. So in last place in the division, we got the Cincinnati Bengals going 5-12, and I definitely think they have the talent to be good, but like Joe Burrow will definitely get better, and they added Jamar Chase in the draft, but Joe Burrow is going to be running for his life the whole time without an offensive line, so it will be very tough for the Bengals to win games, and especially with the rest of their division, with the Browns, the Ravens being both really good next season. So I think it's going to be tough for the Bengals right now if they can get some more offensive linemen, and I think in a few years they will be a very productive team. Moving on to the AFC South, in first place we got the Indianapolis Colts at 8-9, and I think besides their division, their schedule is really hard. I think they have a lot of talent on their team, but just by the teams they're playing, I only see the Colts going 8-9 next season. The rest of the AFC South, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars going 4-13, and then both the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans going 3-14. I think the Jaguars will be a little bit better, but I think just like I said with the Colts, by the teams they're playing, it's not going to be a huge improvement with Trevor Lawrence going. They also did add Travis Etienne, and they did add to their team Marvin Jones and Shaq Griffin, and hired new head coach Urban Meyer. So they had a lot of improvements, but I don't think it's going to turn out a lot better for them. I think they're still a really young team and playing a lot of good teams, so it's going to take them a few years for them to develop and be a playoff team. And then we look at the Tennessee Titans. They lost almost their whole team. This offseason was a mess. Their offense basically carried their team last season, and Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith were both big parts of why their offense was so good last year, and they lost both of them, and I don't see how A.J. Brown could carry that whole offense by himself, the whole receiving core, I'd say, by himself, because they do have Derrick Henry still. Plus, their defense was terrible last year, and now they lost Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Desmond King, Kenny Vaccaro, so the Titans are going to be a mess next year. And I think the Texans, then, they have a lot of talent, but we see the problems going on with Deshaun Watson right now, and I don't think they have a great coaching staff. Like, they hired a Ravens wide receiver coach who their wide receiving core was the worst part of their whole team last season. So, I mean, I just think this division is basically what the NFC East was last season, but just for the AFC. The last division in the AFC, we got the AFC West, and starting off at 15-2, we got the Kansas City Chiefs in first place, and even though they did lose in the Super Bowl, I think Patrick Mahomes, like he said, is going to be motivated a lot next year and will perform like an MVP next season. And they did lose both Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher, but they did trade for Orlando Brown on offense. So I think now the Chiefs will still be very good next year, and I think could still be a dynasty and still win the Super Bowl definitely next season. Second place in the AFC West, we got the Los Angeles Chargers, who I think will go 13-4 next year. I think Justin Herbert is going to get a lot better. We saw them, I think they could have gone about 10-6 last year, but they choked in a bunch of games. They added Rashawn Slater on offense. I think they get Derwin James back next year. They also signed Corey Linsley. So I think this Charger team will be a very good team next year. And I think we'll definitely be in playoff contention next season. Place in the AFC West. I think this will surprise a lot of people. I have the Denver Broncos going 10-7 next year. I think a lot of people have forgotten that Drew Lock went 4-1 as a rookie starter, and the only team he lost to was the Kansas City Chiefs. They do get Cortland Sutton back next year. They also get Von Miller back next season. They added Patrick Surtain on defense, drafted him, but they also added Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby. So, and the Broncos, if Drew Lock does start to struggle, they have Teddy Bridgewater behind him, and I think this Broncos team could be in playoff contention next season. Now moving on to the NFC, and starting with the NFC East, I got the Dallas Cowboys winning the division at 9-8. I think the NFC East is definitely a lot better this year, and I think the Cowboys will definitely improve with Dak Prescott coming back. They drafted Micah Parsons. They also added Keanu Neal, so that will help. I think Keanu Neal is an underrated signing because he actually was a Pro Bowler in Atlanta, and Dallas definitely needed a safety there, and I think he will help that position a lot more than people are thinking he will. And I just think since the Cowboys have a tough schedule, kind of the whole NFC East does, I think that is what is causing them to finish 9-8. But otherwise, I think they're going to be good next season, and I have them winning the NFC East, even though I think a lot of people don't have them winning the NFC East. A lot of people don't even really have them making the playoffs next season. So now in second place, I got the New York Giants going 8-9. And like I said, they're going to get Saquon Barkley back. They added Kenny Golladay. They drafted Kadarius Toney. And their defense was already pretty strong. So I just think since they have a tough schedule, kind of, that's what is causing them to go 8-9. But you saw they were doing well for a stretch without Saquon Barkley. And they probably would have made the playoffs if the Eagles played all their starters in the last game against Washington. But otherwise, the Giants are going to be well improved next season. In third place, I had the Philadelphia Eagles going 7-10. And I think Devontae Smith is going to help the Eagles out a lot more than people are intending. I think just the Eagles team is young, so it's going to take them a little bit to develop. So I don't think this is quite the year, but in a few years, I think they will return back to Super Bowl form. And we saw last season was frustrating. Carson Wentz struggled a lot. The Eagles ended up trading him, so they hope that Jalen Hurts can be their guy for the future, but we'll see how Jalen Hurts performs next season. Last place in the division, I have the Washington football team going 4-13, and this is very surprising to a lot of people because I know a lot of people have the Washington football team going first place in the division, but the NFC East is way improved this season. Like I said, the Cowboys get Dak Prescott back, the Giants get Saquon Barkley back, and I think what a lot of people don't notice is the teams that these other teams are playing outside of the division. Like Washington finished first in their division last season, so now they're playing like the Packers and the Saints, and I don't think people realize that a lot, as if the Cowboys now, they were third in the division, so now they're only playing teams like the Panthers and the Lions, and, so they don't have as tough of a schedule, and I think every other team in the NFC East improved except for the Washington football team. The Washington football team pretty much just stayed the same as last season. I mean, they added a few people, but I don't think that it's going to make their team a whole lot better than last season. Moving on to the NFC North, we have, as of now, the Green Bay Packers at 12-5 because as of now, Aaron Rodgers is still on the Packers, and unless he gets traded, stuff will change. But I do think that the Packers' disrespect for Aaron Rodgers is 100%, and the Packers don't even try to build their team up. They don't try to add around Aaron Rodgers. We saw they drafted a cornerback in this year's draft when they already had Jair Alexander and Adrian Amos. They drafted a quarterback last year. They traded up to get a quarterback when the worst part about that is they didn't even have to trade up to get Jordan Love. And it was a terrible pick in the first place. They could have got him later in the draft and drafted either Denzel Mims or Patrick Queen. The year before, they drafted Rashawn Gary when they already had Zadarius Smith, and they could have gotten either A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf in that draft. So it's like the Packers, they refuse to build around Aaron Rodgers. So I'm like, no wonder he wants to leave. And the Packers are saying, we don't want him there. Well, no, excuse me. That the Packers don't want to trade Aaron Rodgers, but yet they refuse to give him weapons. They refuse to build around Aaron Rodgers. They refuse to give Aaron Rodgers anything. So I'm like, no wonder Aaron Rodgers wants to leave the Packers. But as I'm now assuming that he doesn't get traded, I still got the Packers winning the NFC North and going. Otherwise, the rest of the NFC North is not very good. I think the Vikings will definitely be better, but I still have them going 6-11, but finishing second in the NFC North. We saw them get Patrick Peterson, and Justin Jefferson, I think, is definitely going to get better. I just don't really see it with the Vikings, with the kind of teams they will be playing next season. And otherwise, I got the Bears going 5-12, finishing third in the division. It's just not going to work well for the Bears. They have no offensive line, and they released Kyle Fuller. So it's like, I just don't see it with the Bears. I think Justin Fields is going to be running for his life the whole time out there. I think he still will be productive, but he won't have an offensive line just like Joe Burrow. And the Lions are going into rebuilding mode. We saw them trade Matthew Stafford. They lost Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay. And they cut Desmond Trufant also. So right now, this is just a rebuilding form for almost every team except for the Packers and the NFC. Moving on to the NFC South. We got first place the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going 14-3. The Buccaneers are definitely going to be good next year. I don't think there's any question. I don't think anyone questions how good the Buccaneers will be and if they're going to win the NFC South. Otherwise, with the rest of the division, I have all the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Carolina Panthers all going 6-11. I don't think any of those teams are really improved. I mean, all of them except for the Saints have got better. The Falcons and Panthers have improved a little bit from last season. The Falcons added Kyle Pitts, who will help their offense a lot. The Panthers got Sam Darnold now at quarterback, and they are getting Christian McCaffrey back. They also drafted J.C. Horn on defense, and the Saints are basically just going into rebuilding form. Now since Drew Brees has retired, because they also lost Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook, Janoris Jenkins. So, otherwise, besides, the really only good players they had were the really good players they drafted, like Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Marshall Lattimore, Cam Jordan, and Marcus Williams are basically the only players the Saints have left on their team. Last division, we got the NFC West, a division that many, including myself, would argue is the best division in the whole NFL. And we'll start off, I got the Los Angeles Rams winning the division at 14-3. We saw them get Matthew Stafford. I mean, they traded a lot for him, but I don't think it will be that bad. I think Deshaun Jackson is an underrated move that a lot of people have not talked about as much. I think he will help out their team a lot more than people are intending. I know they did lose Michael Brockers, but Sebastian Joseph Day performed very well last season, and they lost John Johnson, I know, but they will get Taylor Rapp back, and they'll have both Jordan Fuller and Terrell Burgess to play safety, and they lost Troy Hill also, but I think I would trust Sean McVay to fill out those positions well. I've noticed that Sean McVay has done a good job of developing players. Like Darius Williams 2 seasons ago did not play. He wasn't great. I mean, he was good, but he was like a 4th string cornerback, and we saw he picks off Russell Wilson 3 times and has a pick 6 in the playoffs. So I would trust Sean McVay to help out and fill out those positions well next. So now I have the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals both going 13-4. We saw the 49ers had a ton of injuries last season. All those players they are getting back. And I think with Jimmy Garoppolo at the starting quarterback, they will be fine because he went to the Super Bowl fully healthy. It's just he can't stay healthy. And now Trey Lance can stay there and learn from Jimmy Garoppolo. So if Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt, Trey Lance can just step right in. And then the Arizona Cardinals, we saw them add J.J. Watt, A.J. Green, Rodney Hudson, and Malcolm Butler. And also James Conner also. So I think the Cardinals are going to be really good next season also, and I think they'll definitely make the playoffs also. Kyler Murray is going to definitely get better, and DeAndre Hopkins also, and I would hope Larry Fitzgerald still plays next season because it'd be good to see him retire with a ring. Now I have the Seattle Seahawks going 10-7 and finishing last place in the NFC West. I think every other team except for the Seahawks got better, but we'll see. The Seahawks, I think, could still be a playoff contender. And, Russell Wilson was playing extremely well last year for, the first 5 games, and then it kind of went down after the loss of the Bills. But we'll see how they perform next season. We'll see if Russell Wilson wins his first MVP award next season. That was it for my NFL predictions. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please click like and subscribe. And in the comments, let me know if you guys had any questions about my predictions for the NFL regular season.